Welcome to the second episode of Ask the Naturopath. Today we're going to be talking about sugar. Just to be clear, it's processed sugar, added refined sugar, aka Satan's crystals. Sugar per se, or a saccharide, is not an issue. We thrive, we survive on carbohydrates, which are made up of these saccharide units. So this is all vegetables, fruit, grains, making bread and pasta, legumes predominantly are carbohydrate. And so they're all made up of units of these simple sugars bound together with chemical bonds. So when we consume these foods, we chew, not much happens there. A little bit of salivary amylase, which is an enzyme that breaks down carbohydrate, gets into action. So if you eat bread, for example, chew for about 2 or 3 minutes, you'll find that bread goes a little bit sweeter. And that's because the amylase in the saliva breaks down the bonds, releasing those sugars so that you can taste them. You can do that with rice as well. So after we've swallowed, it goes into the stomach. Not much happens with carbohydrate digestion in the stomach, and then into the small intestine, where everything happens with digestion and absorption. So the big guns are the pancreatic enzymes. So the pancreas secretes these enzymes, or actually it excretes because it's going into the alimentary canal, which is outside. So secretes is into the body, excretes is outside of the body. It excretes its pancreatic enzymes to break down all of the macronutrients. Amylase for the carbohydrates, as we're talking about, but also lipase for fats and protease for proteins. Anyway, forget about those for the moment. We're concentrating on carbohydrate digestion. So these pancreatic enzymes come in and like big garden shears start breaking down the bonds that join these chains of saccharides, and they're predominantly glucose and fructose. Now, they're still too big to cross over the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. And so what we need now are some smaller little shears or little nail scissors, enzymes that are produced at the intestinal wall. So the cells lining the intestine, they produce these enzymes that break down the carbohydrates into their smallest form. Now, which is really why we really need to have a healthy intestine, so that we're able to produce these enzymes. A really good example of this is the lactase enzyme, which breaks down lactose, which is a simple 2-molecule sugar, galactose and glucose, broken down by lactase. If we don't have a healthy intestine, we're not going to be able to break down that particular carbohydrate molecule. So here we are at the small intestine. We've got the little nail scissors breaking down the bond that releases these two simple single sugars. Across they go into the bloodstream. Now, if you've eaten a complex carbohydrate, an unprocessed food, that rise will be relatively slow and come down relatively slow. So as the rise, and this is called blood glucose or blood sugar levels, going up, who's reading that is a guy in the pituitary gland. So I often talk about this to my students, saying there's a little fellow in the pituitary gland and his only job is to count blood sugar. So here he is with his little clicker. He's click, click, click. They've eaten another piece, another sandwich. They've eaten another bit of broccoli. Click, 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 click. Up go the blood sugar levels. Now, there's a point where the blood sugar levels, here's what should be in the bloodstream, not too low, not too high. It should just be this amount here. As the sugar levels start to rise, the little guy in the pituitary gland who's clicking away, reading the blood sugar levels, says, you know what, it's getting to the upper limit. What are we going to do about it? Scratch, scratch, scratch. He then gets out he's been doing calligraphy classes at TAFE. He gets out his pen and a bit of lovely paper, his calligraphy pen, and starts writing a letter to Dear Mr. Pancreas. Dear Mr. Pancreas, just to let you know that the blood sugar levels are rising a little bit high. What would you like to do about it? So he sends it down a chute, and we have this male chute in the body. Not many people know that, but we do. And the pancreas uncurls his beautiful sheet of fine calligraphy and reads it. Oh, I see, blood sugar levels rising. And what does the pancreas do about this? Well, it excretes insulin. So insulin is the hormone that, it secretes insulin. So it excretes it excretes the digestive enzymes into the alimentary canal, and it secretes insulin into the bloodstream. So insulin, its job is to put the glucose, the blood sugar, into the cells where the cells can make energy. Okay? So that's what happens. The blood glucose is rising. It will fall as the sugar is going into the cells. Now, just a little side point here. If the cell is insulin resistant, i.e. it's not going to take the command from the insulin to put the sugar in there, then the sugars will remain in the bloodstream being high, and they can be converted to fat. So this is the problem with pre-diabetes and diabetes. The sugar or the glucose is not going to the cell where the cell wants it for energy. It's remaining in the bloodstream where it will be converted to fat. So that's an issue. Now, that's what's normally happening. We've got a slow rise and slow coming down. Now, when you've got something like sucrose, for instance, which really doesn't take any time at all to digest or absorb, it's just one bond holding these two glucose and fructose molecules together. Kaboom! Very quickly, the sugars will rise very, very quickly into the bloodstream and come down. And this is an issue for our health. The pancreas will rather than what will happen in the brain, the little guy in the pancreas is going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's going up really fast. No time to do this lovely flowing letter to the pancreas. No, it goes, and the pancreas goes, oh my God, I'm going to dump insulin. So insulin level goes really high, and the sugar will hopefully all go into the cells, coming down really fast. And that's an issue. And after a while, the pancreas gets so sick of this that it will end up in being type 2 diabetes. That's generally what happens in our modern world today. So we've got this fast rise, fast fall of blood sugar levels, and that's going to play out in you getting hungry and tired and irritable. And so that's why it's really, really important to eat non-processed sugars, whole foods, and also having a little bit of protein or fat into any meal is also going to slow that rise. It's called the glycemic index, or the glycemic load of a food. It's going to slow that down. So we've got a steadier rise and a steadier fall. So how much sugar should you have? Well, when I say this to patients, I recommend that you don't eat anything that's got more than 5 grams of sugar per 100 grams. You're going to be pretty sure if that's a kind of a whole grain or something like that, that's not going to be a problem. But all processed foods, or foods in packaging in Australia anyway, have to have this information on the label. So this, for example, is tahini. What's tahini made out of? Sesame seeds. Would I expect this to have high sugar? Probably not. And here I've got per 100 grams, and it always has to have this. Per 100 grams, sugars is 3 grams per 100 grams. So that's going to be fine. Also, say here's bread. So bread's totally carbohydrate, a grain, whereas sesame seeds are high in fat as well. So I wouldn't expect this to be high in fat. not too high in protein. In fact, all of this information is here on the label. It's per 100 grams per protein, 10 grams, not crash hot, but not too bad, only 1 gram of fat, and total sugars is 1.9 grams per 100 grams. So you're safe there. However, having a look here, and this is a more processed food, this is a delicious beetroot relish. This has got 34 grams of sugar per 100 grams, so it's a third sugar. Now, if this was going to be my main meal, it would be an issue. It's going to skyrocket my blood sugar levels. But the fact is, people are only going to have a teaspoon of this in their whole meal, so that's probably okay. It's when the food that the majority of what you're eating, say ice cream or chocolate, even some breakfast cereals are frightening. They can be up to 30-40% processed sugar. So if it says sugar, it's processed sugar. Carbohydrate is sugars in that complex form. So it's always my recommendation that you don't have added sugar. So try to cut down, and probably even better, stop it. So if you add sugar to your coffee, I'm going to suggest you don't have any, because if you have a little bit, you're going to want to keep on eating sweet things. You can really kill that sweet tooth by going cold turkey, stopping it altogether. That sounds a bit hard. I am a hard-ass naturopath, but if you can just stop eating that stop eating that sugar, after a few days, you'll lose your sweet tooth. So make sure you're having a bit of protein with each meal, and that keeps the blood sugar levels nice and steady. And make sure you eat frequently so your blood sugar levels don't fall too much. And I'm just going to suggest, try it for 2 weeks of having no added sugar, and I want you to notice whether your energy levels get better, your sleep gets better, your mood gets better. Go for it. Thanks.